back to another PPTV with myself, Bethany Lee-Ashby, your social media extraordinaire here at Progressive. I'm here with the wonderful Neville Wright today. Say hi, Neville.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
So for you watching right now and those tuning in, we do have various live feeds on the go, and we do have YouTube filming as well. So if we keep looking away, it's not because we don't love you, we've just got lots going on right now. But Neville, for those who might not know much about yourself or haven't heard of you before, can you give us a little bit of a top line?
I started business in 1974, which was obviously a long time ago, and worked every day since, and started with 37 pence for a piece of scrim, a cloth for cleaning windows, so I became a window cleaner one day. But the day before, I was a beggar begging for £2 in the dole office, and that was in the morning, and in the afternoon, when I'd had a confrontation with them, I became my own boss. Then I had to start working. So, and then we went on to build a property company and then retail, and both at the same time. And we built the largest independent nursery equipment store in the country. We sold 4 of those, by the way, from 1980 to 2011, and we got a world record price of £70 million for one shop. So not too bad.
Not too bad,
and,
no.
We've carried on our journey since then, built 600 houses in another company, what we own, and so it goes on.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. So people who say about retirement, and I ask them what they mean by retirement, they say, doing what I want to do when I want to do it. So I retired at the age of 24 on 1974, doing what I wanted to do.
That's brilliant.
So there we are. Yeah, so that's a bit about myself, and sorry about the colours. I'm coordinated by the look of it with the Progressive Properties.
I love it. It looks like you made a real effort for today.
I didn't know this was going to happen, so yeah, coincidence.
It works perfectly. But I do think that's quite a good point what you mentioned there, of retirement is doing what you love and never having to work again.
Yes.
I just think that's brilliant, because if you do what you love, you will never work a day again in your life.
No.
It's what you're passionate about and what you enjoy.
Yes, it doesn't mean it's not hard to do it, and you going through all the trials of building a business and trying different ways, because we never stopped. Every single day was just a little bit different, and we kept the things on that was working and left the things that didn't work behind. So it's just a journey, a progression that you go through, and as I say, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and as long as it works 51% of the time, that's you're a success.
I like that, because obviously in business there is a lot of trial and error that does take place. Like, it's never going to run smoothly.
Well, we'd never been in business before. Our parents had never been in business, and I say ours because it was my wife Marilyn and myself, and it still is 50 odd years later. So it's a journey that is unexpected. So every day is unexpected. We never worked for ourselves. We'd never done any bookkeeping. We'd never been out and got any customers. We never employed anybody, and we ended up with one shop employing 120 full-time staff. So we had not a clue about their health and safety and all the laws. We had to learn that as we went along every day. Yeah. And there's people's wants and needs and ambitions, and it's a journey that's fantastic, really, because you do think everybody wants the same as you, but they don't. Everybody wants different things, and that you have to learn.
Did you find that quite difficult?
Oh, very difficult. Yeah. There was
It's a steep
so many,
learning curve.
it was a very steep learning curve, you know, for 30 odd years really, and but it was good. And once you know something, that you can expand on it, and you can become the best, because that's what you want. You're competing against yourself. A lot of people say you're competing against other people, competitors, but really the only competitor you have is inside you. You want to get better, you want to beat what you've done, and that's it. So don't worry about anybody else, what they're doing.
Focus on yourself.
It's what you're doing that counts. Yeah.
So if we go all the way back then to when you were 24, you decided you're your own boss now. How did property come into the equation?
Well, every day I'd do the window cleaning, and then I'll just give you my card for my book, and the book is called The Answer is Yes, Now What is the Question? Now, the thing is, that title came from the first couple of weeks of being in business, because I'd clean somebody's windows, and they'd say, while you're up there, can you clean my gutter? And if you think, say 30 pence for cleaning somebody's house, I could get £1 for cleaning their gutter. So that was more lucrative. And then people would say, can you mend my fence? Can you put a latch on my gate? So everything, because we had no money, and because we was desperate and we needed to buy food, it's a good incentive to say yes. So eventually, within a few weeks, people were saying, Neville, can you? And I'll go, yes. And they go, I haven't asked the question yet. I say, I'll do anything you want me to do. And so that's where that come from. And so each day it would progress, and after about 3 months I left the window cleaning behind because I was doing property maintenance. Then we started to employ people on a part-time basis, and so we was earning money from that, from labour. And then we realised we didn't want to lose any time, so if we got a small terraced house that needed doing up, any time we wasn't working for customers, we could work for ourselves. Any spare materials we had left over, we use it on that. That's how we did it, and that's how we started. And we must have renovated 100 terraced houses in Peterborough over the years, and well, that's the 70s and the 80s, and so it was one bit at a time, gradually doing it. So
it happened quite organically then.
Organically, and we pushed, and we started in the morning as the sun came up, and we stopped when the church bells rang 12 at night. You know, and it was that was what we did. And that's what you have to do. Well, I say you have to do it, you know, we wanted to do it because...
The passion and drive was that, wasn't it?
I didn't want to be back on that dole queue, in the dole queue, asking for another £2 a week to feed my family.
You had your why, didn't you?
Yes.
I think that's quite important, the why for people who do start investing or creating their own businesses, because that's what keeps you going when times get tough.
Yes, and times do get tough.
They do.
And we had lived in a 10-foot caravan in the... winter of 73, 74, when there's a recession, and so that was absolutely great because it was horrible. It was the worst thing that was ever happened to us, and but we survived. So one of the things was you could always go back to living in a caravan and survive. So it didn't make any difference to us about money. So all the money went back into the business because we knew that that was going to make our life easier in the long run. And it's the long run that counts, because I had somebody today asking me what was a shortcut. They needed a shortcut to get into property, they needed a shortcut to get to where they wanted to be, which was a millionaire really. And there isn't a shortcut. You know, you've got you've got to go up the ladder one step at a time, because if there was a shortcut and you got to the top, what would you do? You'd probably lose it all and then have to start again. But a lot of people, if they're not a millionaire in 6 months or a year, they give it up. And in 10 years' time, they're a person who said, I could have, and then they say, I should have, but I didn't, because they didn't keep on progressing on a daily basis, because you do succeed in the long run. And people don't seem to want to, but in 10 years or 20 years' time, they're still going to be about. So why didn't they just put that extra few percent in every day instead of giving it up? And that's what my book's about. Don't give up. That's what it's saying. This is what's going to hit the fan. Be prepared for it. Don't be surprised when things go wrong, because they will. But you just have to pick yourself up and carry on within 10 minutes, really.
Yeah.
You know, you can't procrastinate.
We have that a lot within our progressive community. A lot of people, they do share when things go wrong and how they dealt with it, because people, they do see property through rose-tinted glasses, I think, when they first start, and think, oh, it's going to solve everything really quickly, when actually, no, things are going to go wrong, it is going to get hard, and you are going to have to think on your feet and figure out how you're going to get through to the next step.
Yes, yeah.
So I do think it's really important that things will go wrong, things will struggle, but as long as you surround yourself with the right people, such as yourself did, you'll be fine. You can make through it.
That's right. I lost £160,000 one day. Not a very nice person had that, and this was a long time ago. This was early 2000s, and I said, that's it, I've finished, I've had enough. And I went into my wife's office, and I took a few of the managers with me, and I said, I've had enough, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm finished. I'm going to close the place down and I'm off. And they go, all right, okay, where you going? I don't know where I'm going, but I'm finished. And my wife said, do you want a cup of tea? And we all had a cup of tea, and then the managers went off. And I sat there, and Marilyn said, well, what are you doing, Neville? Did you want another cup of tea, or are you going? And I said, well, I've got nowhere to go. I've got nothing. And I went back. I said, I'm going in the warehouse. I'm going to get on a fork truck. I'm going to do some work. And I was determined, because I'd got nowhere to go, really. My wife wasn't going anywhere. She said, are you going?
I just love it. Do you want another cup of tea, or are you off?
Yeah, and so within 3 months, I'd not only made our normal money, but I'd made that £160,000 back with determination, with focus, with, you know, that was it. And that's what happens to you.
It does, and it's a lesson that I'm sure you've learned from, and that mistake was never made again. Perhaps.
Look, there's always people about who are unscrupulous. There is, and you think you've got it right, and it's life. It is, and it's well, you can't be prepared for it, but you can understand what's going on, and the thing is, there's the old Italian saying, the fish stinks from the head down. So if you are the boss, you're responsible for everything that happens in your life, everything that happens for your business and people who are there. You're responsible. And so therefore I hadn't done my due diligence properly, had I?
Yeah.
You know, and if people say, well, it's unforeseen, well, I wasn't good enough. And so therefore it's my fault. The book sticks with me. And it's one of those things that you need to kick up the arse, you know, very often. And I got it.
I think that's such a key point though as well, is that you're able to accept responsibility and say, you know what, I'm holding my hands up, this was my fault. Because I think a lot of people in business always want to pass the blame. Oh, it's someone else's, how could I have known that? And so on and so on. But
now, at the end of the day, if you own the company, you are responsible. And that's it. And it doesn't matter what people do. it's not their fault. It's you that didn't foresee this. But you can't foresee everything.
No.
You know, and this is what makes the world go round, and this is why you can write books and do talks and stuff like that. So therefore, anything that happens, it's not all that bad. Even if bad things happen, you can recall it. And look at Gerald.
Yes.
Gerald Ratner. What he said to me, I can beat you. I lost 500 million in one day. Beat that. And go, but he's made his life out of that, talking about it, which is good.
It's turning it to your advantage, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Silver lining in anything that happens to you.
I still wouldn't want to lose 500
No.
million.
If I had to, no. But it's good to know that even if something like that does happen, that there is a way to come back from that. There is a way to turn that to your advantage and make that work for you.
There is.
So I think that's really important to always try and find a positive no matter what the situation is.
Yes, it's a job at the time, but there is advantages to it.
I always say it's like one of those situations, you know, during the time of something bad happening and you're thinking this is the worst thing ever, but then you look back on it a few weeks later and you're laughing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can't laugh during the situation, but when you look back, it's just one of those things that happen to you.
You learn and carry on.
Yeah. Well, I think that's amazing that you got that outlook as well. What would some tips be, perhaps, for anyone watching, if they are going through a rough patch?
It's normal. It is. You're going to have rough patches, and it is normal. So don't give up, because imagine the person who invented 5-Up. Fantastic drink, it tasted good, they went to market and it didn't work. So they gave it up, and then somebody took the concept and they thought, I can do better than you, I'll do 6-Up. So fantastic drink, they went to the market, it didn't work. And both of those people threw it in, and then you know what happened to 7-Up, somebody come along, and there you are. So therefore, success can be just round the corner, just with tweaking something.
You get in what you put. No, you get out what you put in. Sorry, I'm getting confused there myself.
Yes. So and you can. So these things happen. Expect those to happen. And what is the worst thing? So people tend to give up. And what I was saying before, you know, what is the worst thing? Because they give up and then they're in the old position where they was before. No, you've got to get through it. It's like, what about all the athletes? You know, the runners, the high jumpers, whatever they do. If they give up, there wouldn't be any Olympic Games, would there? You know, here we go, oh no, I'm not doing that, that's too hard.
Not feeling it today.
What about boxing and what about Tiger Woods today or yesterday?
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's, you know, you find a passion and you become the best. And if you trip up, then you get up and you carry on. And you wouldn't have any athletes if that wasn't the case.
I guess it separates the successful from the unsuccessful.
It's looking at those people and it's saying, well, just because I'm in property or whatever, I'm the same as one of these other people. I'm the same as an athlete. You know, you've got to keep going. And if you're in it, you've got to be in it to win it. And it's no good saying, I could have. No, you couldn't. You've got to be there and you've got to do it every single day. You've got to concentrate, you've got to focus, you've got to be determined. And you've got to take the bad with the good, you know, and turn it into an advantage.
I think that's excellent advice.
I
think that's brilliant for a bit of Monday motivation for everyone as well.
I'll tell you something now. I just remembered a story. In the 90s, I got a very, very bad back, and I couldn't walk very well. And I'd be, like, if I was walking, I'd be 20 paces behind Marilyn, and she would walk slow, and I'd even walk slower. And I took everything that was going to ease the pain. And one day I don't know what I'd taken, but I rang up a company and I ordered several lorry loads of ex-army beds.
Okay.
Why? I don't really. I thought because we had a children's shop, I thought I could sell them for children. Anyway,
Okay.
these ex-army beds, they came. In fact, a guy brought me a sample and took it out of his car, and I laid on it in the car park of where our shop was in Warrington, and I ordered lorry loads of them. And there was like from 1939, and there was real army stuff, and they were rubbish. There wasn't children's beds at all. And everybody said to me, "What on earth have you done?" I go, "What's wrong then?" You know, it's like I could see something that other people couldn't see. What it was, I don't know. We couldn't sell them, no way. I decided at Christmas I would give them away, spend £50, and you get a bed and a mattress worth £50 free. We had busloads of people coming to us just to get their free bed, and some people would get to the back door. They was really pleased with their purchases, and they'd look at the bed and they'd say, "Well, I'm not having that crap in my house." And they'd go, they were very happy with what they bought,
Yeah.
but they said, "No, you can keep them." But we was doing like £100,000 a day in turnover in the early 90s with that promotion.
That's
It was.
amazing. It's all
It
about
was-
your marketing.
And some people go, "Could I have 2, please?" I go, "You can have 10 if you want."
Take as many as you can carry.
Yeah, so you turn these things into an advantage. So there we are.
I think that's a brilliant story. So going on then from the bad that can happen in business, how about the scaling up then?
Yes.
So obviously you started with window cleaning, and then you went into property management, and then how did you scale up from there? How did it get to the level where you are now?
Right, so it was, as I say, a little bit at a time, and then we got a loan, and then we turned over the properties very quickly, 6 weeks to turn over each property, and so it was more or less buy 3, get 1 free, because that's the way it was in those days.
Yeah.
But if you bought every 4th one was basically total profit, it was. So we did it so many times, we did. So it was about 12 years before we could start having our own property to keep, but for that first 12 years we was doing maintenance, buying, selling, renovating, and it gradually grew. It didn't seem like it until you kind of looked back and see that you was accumulating the properties, and then after I think it was 12 years that we kept our first 6 shops that we built, and I did a deal with a builder. I'd got 6 plots or 6 shops to build, and there was 2 plots of land for houses, and the builder took the 2 plots and built the 6 shops. So it was like subsidy. It was like a JV partnership. It was. Yeah, and that cost me 72,000 to build those. That was 25 years ago, I think, and we've had £600,000 profit out of those. So the 72,000 has turned into something like £600,000, and I've had £600,000 in rent.
That's fantastic.
So all from that. So that's how we did it, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And in the last couple of years, we've done about £16 million worth of new industrial, but we've got and you have to buy and sell, do your deals, and we've got 140 tenants now on a commercial property, so it just gradually builds up.
How did you find the transition of going from residential to commercial? Was there lots
Well,
to
I made a
learn
big
all over
mistake
again?
because we'd had this we had 50 residential properties.
Mhm.
You would make them into HMOs now, you would.
Yes.
But in those days, the 90s, you just had a 4-bedroom house and you rented it out.
Yeah.
Now you'd have
HMO, service accommodation.
Yeah. So there was a bit of a recession. I sold them for about £1 million. I think I paid about £1 million for them, and then I gradually built up this portfolio of 50 houses, and then I went into industrial, and in about 2 years, those properties went up in value to something like £3 million, and the industrial came down. But they are. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. But you just do deals. I mean, we've just done a deal last week. Put it on the market. I didn't actually put it on the market, but somebody made 3 phone calls for us. An agent did, and sold this property, and that was £5.5 million. And we bought that property twice. Bought it and sold it, and we got £4 million rent off it while we'd got it, and we made, I think it was £2 million, so we made £6 million out of that property, and but they're the kind of deals that we can do now, whereas before, you know, it was, you have to do a deal where you're making just a few hundred, and got to. Well, I don't know any other way, you know. Start small and focus on each day and keep reinvesting the money. And don't be afraid to borrow, because people look at borrowing as debt. But it is, if you borrow on your credit card and you go on a holiday, that's debt, or you buy a car and that's debt. But if you borrow money and you put it into property and you turn it over, or tools or equipment or whatever, or a shop and stock, that's investment. So people get mixed up with being in too much debt. Well, debt is personal, things that will go down in value and you don't need, and investment is something that's going to go up in value and you can work it and make money out of it. So people get fixated on, I'm not having debt. Well, what about investment? Yeah. And that's where a lot of people stop and they don't go any further. They can't get it in their mind.
I think Rob explained it quite well, is that people's mindset around money is where they struggle most, because they feel like they can't borrow the money because it is debt, but there is a difference between good debt and bad debt. Like you said, if it's for your own personal use, that's not gonna go up in value. That's just a memory, which then can't take you any further, unfortunately.
I had £250,000, which we took out of the business at one time. I then remortgaged my house for £750,000, so I'd got £1 million. So I took the £1 million. And I put it onto this property, and the bank loaned me £2 million. So within 18 months, I sold that property at £1.5 million extra, and I had £200,000 worth of rent. So on that £250,000, I made £1.7 million in 18 months. And that was paying the interest on my mortgage and on the £2 million. So it was, I didn't think I would make that amount of money when I first bought it, because it was going to be in the long run. But I had an offer for it, which I took.
I think that's amazing, especially when you say the numbers out loud. So to someone, they could have been worried about, oh no, I can't take the £2 million from the bank, that's so much debt, the interest. But like you said, you've done it, and the amount that you've made on that property as a result, you would have been silly not to have taken the money.
Yes.
So I think it's a big struggle of trying to change their mindset of how they view money and view debt, especially in the property world and investments.
I do think a lot of people go into this business thinking they're going to make a lot of money, and they want to start at that kind of level, whereas they're not looking at, they've got to start at a lower level there to, one, get their confidence, to prove that they can do it, to prove to the bank, they can take a set of figures to the bank and show them, and it takes time.
Well, and it's better as well to make the mistakes on the lower end of the scale than obviously the big deals. Make your mistakes small rather than going all the way out.
I've made it both
Was
ways. Yeah.
Which one hurt less?
Well, I think it's courses you get over it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I lost 500,000 one day on shares, and I think I should have put that into property. So I withdrew it from property and put it into shares because somebody said it was a good buy, but the market went the opposite way, and that's what happens. But you get over it, you do.
Yeah.
And you've just got to look at things in a different way and don't let it hurt you. If you've lived in the 10-foot caravan and now you're living in the house, money is just a product. It's a byproduct of what you've done. Sometimes you lose it, sometimes you win it. But if it doesn't affect you personally, if you're only living on 10% of what you earn, then it's not going to affect you. And it's a product, you know, that you use. It is.
Again, brilliant advice, I think, for everyone watching and for those on YouTube as well. So what are your thoughts then to do with Brexit? Obviously there's a lot of uncertainty and everyone's wondering what's going to happen. Obviously no one knows what's going to happen on the property market. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't care, because when I say I don't care, I've got no control over it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to make any difference to me. I've had a saying for years: I take my luck as it comes and I fit myself to it.
Okay.
Right, so I can't control that, so I don't really talk about it. I've got no interest in it. And obviously everybody's got their opinion about it, but what can I do?
Yeah.
Right, so therefore I think the local council have got 360 families in bed and breakfast. They want they want 100 flats building. They want, you know, to house these people. That's where I am.
Yeah.
Not I'm on the ground floor, so people will still want shelter. They still want food. They'll still want normal things. They still want clothes and everything.
Life goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah. And if the lorries queue up at the port, we would just have to get over it and do some. You know, they have to do some better. I can't do anything about it. And we might sit here in 6 months' time, and I'll go, oh, should have.
Should have, could have.
yeah, but I don't know.
No, that's great. I think that's one of my favourite responses actually that someone's given, because you've not tried to guess what's going to happen or anything like that.
I'm not going to waste my time on it.
No, you're focusing on what you can do now, what the situations are now, and like I said, adapting to what comes.
There's a lot of our tenants. I do think that there could be problems, and people could go down, they could go bust, and there could be a recession, because there's so many of our tenants have gone from like having £1 million worth of stock to £5 million worth of stock, thinking that there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
The problem is now they've got all this stock and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
So how are they going to pay for it? Who are they going to sell it to? Are they going to be getting rid of it? And then if they stop ordering, what's the manufacturer's going to do? Because if they've got like 4 times as much stock in as they need, that means they're not going to order.
It's like a domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's very
So,
interesting.
and then I suppose some of our tenants will go bust, won't pay the rent, will have a few vacant places, and then we'll cross that bridge
As
when it
comes,
happens.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate your outlook on it and just actually focusing on now and not the what ifs, because Brexit does keep getting pushed back. So it's like
Things that people worry about very often don't happen. You can spend the whole night not sleeping because you're worrying about a conversation you're going to have tomorrow, and you go in and the person's not there. They've gone. You know, you've got to have this dreadful conversation about them leaving or whatever, and they've give their notice in. They go, you know, what did I spend the night worrying about?
You can use that time to your advantage,
Yeah.
can't you? You could obviously
Yeah.
sleep so you're ready for the next day,
Or
or
you could-
actually use it and make changes in your business or invest it more into your business.
Or your wife has said, we're going to go and visit the mother-in-law at the weekend, then you're coming. And you're coming. And say, oh, no, yeah, what kind of excuse can you find to get? And then the mother-in-law rings and said they've got a cold. I could have had my sleep.
I do like that. No, I think you've given so many excellent snippets of advice today, and I think especially don't worry about what's going to happen, adapt to it as it comes, and starting small and then growing. I think that's a very key bit of advice that a lot of people need to learn, because they do see the big numbers and they do see the results like people like yourself have, but they just see the end result. They've not actually researched everything that's happened in between to get you there, and they just want to skip all that and find a quick fix.
Yeah, you're not going to.
No, and I think that's really key advice.
And if you can find one, can you?
We'd all love to know. But that's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in today. I think it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure not only those watching, but myself included, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
That's brilliant. Guys, if you do have any more questions for myself or for Neville, feel free to pop them in the Facebook comments below or on YouTube if you're joining us there. But yeah, until next time, that's us. So, goodbye everyone.
Goodbye.
There we go, all done.
Wow, that's interesting.
There we go. All done. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Did
I know
you?
this was last minute, but I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
That's all right. That's all right. There's you usually come up with something I remember.
I thought it was brilliant. But it is just actually what happens on the journey. Like I said, a lot of people do just see rainbows and, oh, it's going to be great, I'm going to be earning this amount a month, and nothing's going to go wrong, and it's not the case.
That's what happens. People come into us all the time. Can you, tell me how to do it? Well, it's took us, 40 years. But it is the journey, because if people became multi-millionaires within a few weeks, what would they do? Is that the end of it? And people go, oh, I want to retire, I want to go on a beach, and well,
then what?
After 3 days, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't thought about it. And people who get money very, very quickly lose it very quickly as well, because they don't know how to control it, and there's no value to it.
Again, it comes with time, doesn't it? And earning it over time, perhaps losing some as well, just to teach you the value of money.
Yes, yeah.
So, no, I thought that was brilliant. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much, Neville.
Thank you.
You're going to